email? What does it mean?
Communication is the imparting or exchanging of information or news.
The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place.
Conversation is the oral exchange of sentiments, observations, opinions, or ideas.
Forbes Books Radio presents The Conversation with Clinton M. Padgett.
Welcome back to part 2 of my conversation with Claude Silver, Chief Heart Officer at VaynerX. We pick up the discussion with Claude answering a question about the biggest myths surrounding workplace culture.
Okay, I think there's a few. I think that one of the biggest misnomers, I would say, is that leaders know everything, that leaders are always right, and they have all the answers. Nope, that's just not the case. I do think good leaders work together to find solutions with you, options. I think unless you're dealing with, numbers, and numbers most of the time don't lie if they're done correctly. But when you're dealing with people and leading a group of people, I don't have all the answers, but I certainly am going to be there rallying you and hyping you up and doing my best to connect you to these smart people that can fill in the blanks that I'm not able to fill in. I think that's the first thing, which is a really interesting one. I think the other one is that it goes alongside of that, and I'm really gung-ho on this right now, is accountability. And everyone needs to learn what that looks like for them. And so one of the things that we say at Vayner is point thumbs, not fingers. So before you go and you say, Sally really messed me up today. Sally didn't QA that document. Sally, well, did I look at the document? I was the one that presented it. So shouldn't I have read it?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. So pointing thumbs, once you take accountability, if it is truly yours, gosh, it frees things up and you can move on with the conversation. You can move on with whatever it is that you all are stuck at. So that's a big one. And it's a big one for people to learn if they don't have that self-awareness yet. And you and I both know, as Gen Xers here, self-awareness is a journey, meaning, I have it today, I hope I have it tomorrow, but I'm going to continue learning. But when you're, just getting out of college or it's your first job, again, you may not know, how do I show up in a room? I never really thought about it. Do I ever speak up or am I always the quiet? Those types of things. Yeah. So what can I be responsible for? What can I take accountability for so we can move this game forward? So I would say that's another one. And these things do affect the culture. The other thing is, politicking. I think in the olden days it would have been called brown nosing, politicking and trying to one up. And that is when you come from an I, not a we place. There's so many different things. Conflict resolution and feedback. These are all tough things that we're all, as humans, trying to figure out how to navigate so that we can continue, right? You need momentum in your day-to-day. You need to know that you're going someplace, whether or not the company is going and growing, but you're also progressing because, right here, you have it too. It says, help me grow. An invisible ink, help me grow.
Yeah. Yeah. Early in my career, I had a situation where like the politicking thing, but it was more I had a person that was putting me down in front of my boss, saying that I hadn't done a good job when I really had, because they wanted to make themselves shine. And that stuff doesn't stick around. It works for a while, terrible. But at some point you get found out, and that person left, and I've been here 30 years. So,
yeah. And I think that's where you figure out what mountains are worth you climbing and what is going to just be taken care of if you've got the right leadership or leadership team in place to be able to sniff out the BS. Those things, I do believe some things need to be surfaced and some things will just surface. That person will just goof at some point.
Yeah. At some point you have to actually be able to do it.
Yeah. We're humans. It's a wild experience. It's wild and crazy but the best thing is here we are halfway through 2025 and we're having this conversation, which gives me a lot of hope.
we're I have a small organization, and whenever we hire anybody, we just make a point of telling them up front, look, we're a small, flat organization. We don't stand on titles, and nobody will hold anything back from you, because it is only in our best interest if we can get you as good as we are as fast as possible. So we have a little bit less on our plate to do. So nobody's going to do what that guy did to me and say, well, Clint doesn't have this skill, but I do, and I'm going to protect that. No. That's not how it works.
Yeah. Clint, you just again hit it right on the head there. The thing I love about Vayner, and it's probably the first culture I've worked in like this, is we share everything. You want a deck? You want to see what I just put out? Go ahead. You want to take it? Go ahead. Use it. It doesn't matter. It's not trademarked by Claude. It's trademarked, copywritten by Vayner.
Right.
Right. And in other places, it's like, no. You can't see what I created for that brand. Well, we're on the same team.
When you discuss, can you think of a time? I like examples, and I don't want to put you on the spot if you can't think of one, but is there a time where empathetic leadership led to like a breakthrough in a team performance that you could think of?
I mean, I would probably say almost every day that a leader is showing up as an empathetic leader is going to lead to some kind of breakthrough. So I'll clear that up. Anytime a leader is willing to show parts of themselves and also say, you know what, I'm a terrible speller. So I understand that you thought that deck was all QA'd, but I know, for an example, I can't spell worth a darn. So I have to look at, I have to take responsibility. Always. Anytime that someone is going to lean in and hold space and just say to you, how are you doing? Hey, I saw on Instagram that you had to put your dog down. That sucks. God, I'm so sorry about that. Like, or just humanizing things. One of the things that comes my way too many times is, someone's parents have died, or someone's parents or brother, sister have gotten diagnosed with a terrible cancer and whatnot. And that comes my way. And I need to make sure that every time I'm responding or reaching out, I'm really reaching out from my heart. I don't ever want it to be like on repeat. Like, gosh, I'm so sorry for your loss. We're here for you. Like, I want to be real.
Yeah.
Right. And so that, if you think about just the most minor of things, or someone told me that you were crying in the elevator. Are you okay? I understand you might not want to talk to me about it, but can I connect you to someone? Or we got a lot of things happening in this world where we all have companies, we all have employees, we all have friends, where being that much more empathetic is going to warm someone in some way. And to break down empathy, because people ask me a lot. As a matter of fact, I did 2 classes at the Northwestern University School of Engineering. So I love that you're an engineer. And both times each year, this professor asked me to come in and teach emotional intelligence. Okay. Well, the way I could break down empathy to an engineer is empathy is an emotion, just like sadness, like grief, like happiness and joy. But how I show empathy is through kindness and compassion. And we can all do that. We might choose not to, but we can all do that. And so for me, empathy and empathetic leadership isn't all of a sudden me trying to be Clint. Like, I'm not ever going to be you. But it's me having enough tenderness and enough kindness and compassion in my heart to say, hey, I see that you're having a hard day. I would love to ride with you. Like, I'm right here for you. What is it that I can help with? Can I connect you to someone that might be able to be there for you in a different way of supporting you, or someone that, is great at buying, paid media and I'm not? Like, you really have to extend yourself to say, let me cross this invisible line to say, how can I help you? How can I be there for you? Good, bad, and different, it doesn't matter. And so, I see that happen every day. Mm-hmm. I see that happen every day. And then I see every day where it doesn't happen, just because we're messy human beings and we get in our own way. So there's no perfection here. There's no like, dark art here of figuring out how to be a great heart-led leader. It is believing in yourself and watching yourself hour after hour, day after day, lean in to another person and show that you really care.
I think you said something that triggered something else I saw. You were talking about, I saw on Instagram where your dog died or whatever. You had to put your dog down.
Yeah.
That means you're being proactive, right? You're actually connecting with people and trying to learn about them outside of maybe the hallway. But the other thing I saw that just really resonated with me is you made the analogy of you're a Sherpa and you're helping the team, the 800 people that you work with, proceed. And that's I hadn't thought about it, but that's really a great analogy because the Sherpa also makes it the ascent to the peak every time. But the story is never about the Sherpa. It's about the person, right? And so to me, you being that Sherpa was just such a great analogy of you're there to support it, but the story is not about you.
That's right. That's exactly right. So that's where it comes from, a we, not I. That's exactly right. No matter what, that Sherpa, that guide is going to get up there. And that guide is most likely going to be carrying some stuff for you.
Yep.
Right? But they're here to guide you and to push in their own way.
They'll have made that ascent 1,000 times. It's your only time. And yet you'll be the one in the news. They're only in the news if something bad happens.
Right. Oh my God. I know. But, I do say we are guides, coaches, and Sherpas. And I really use that word for that reason, because I'm just going to continue to show up.
Right.
And I'm just going to continue to show up. And if it's not here, it's going to be somewhere else. That's me. That's my heart. And believe you me, there were many times in my life, especially when I was a youngster, much younger, when I thought to myself, gosh, if only I could be a little harder like that person. If only I could show that I don't care like that person. Well, that just wasn't possible. That wasn't possible. But what I did have to do is I had to learn boundaries so that I don't take it all on, right? There's 2,000 people I work for, 2,000 people I support and partner with. So I have to make sure that, I empty my bucket at the end of the day so I can come back tomorrow.
Right. Now, another thing I saw you say that I thought was interesting is we don't talk enough about failing and falling, but you'll never understand what success is like if you don't ever hit the ground. So can you expand that a little bit? Why do you think we need to fail? Because nobody wants to fail, right? I mean, I know it may be a good thing, but nobody sets out going, today's goal is to fail.
Yeah, I mean, no one wants to fail with a capital F, right? Because we're taught that, failing is an F grade.
It is.
You will not go forward if you fail. But yet, if there is no such thing as failure, then I don't know how you grow. Because if you never failed, you are just doing basically knocking it out, home run after home run after home run after home run. Well, sometimes you don't want to hit a home run. Sometimes you just want to hit a base hit, right? You have to figure out how to do all those things. Failure is skinning your knee, falling on your butt. Like, it hurts. And so you're going to want to make sure that when you get up again, you're going to do something differently.
Right.
Yeah. Failure fuels us. It's that fuel in the gas tank that literally says to us, like, okay, now get up and do it differently. Because that didn't work. So go do it differently. Whatever that different is. And that is progress. Getting up and trying it again is progress. Even if you fall on your butt again, it's still progress because you got up. Maybe you took a different swing. Maybe you took a different approach. Maybe you did something different with your feet. Like, who knows? And I don't know why I'm using a baseball analogy, but I am. And but failure is real.
Yeah. Failure
is real. And there's a massive stigma around it. And what I say all the time is, geez, I failed. I continue to fail, but I failed for a very long time. And at some point I realized that I was finally failing forward. I wasn't failing backwards anymore. And that was really important to me. And I would say it probably was the confidence boost I needed, which was, okay, you're progressing.
Yeah. I interviewed somebody recently who wrote a book called, the title is amazing. It's called Surrounded by Idiots, which I thought was, okay, I got to talk to this guy, read this book, right? And basically it comes down to, he does a lot with DISC, Yeah.
And
so if you don't know that, it's red, yellow, green, and blue.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, blue are the people who are very like to be stereotypical, your accountants, your CPAs, you're just not a lot of fuzzy stuff there. It's all very, black and white. And then you have the other people that are maybe the yellows are the talkers and the feelers and all this. And so I was thinking about if I'm a blue person listening to this podcast today and I'm thinking empathy, that's a soft, squishy thing. And I don't see how that can possibly add to the bottom line. What would you tell them about what you do with leading with heart and with empathy, how that actually does have an impact on the bottom line, a positive impact?
I don't know what ROI it doesn't have. When you treat people right, when you treat people good, when you make people feel like they belong, when you make space for them to share an idea, I don't like hierarchy. I want a flat organization. I recognize you have to have hierarchy because you need to progress in title and whatnot. But, when you are the bigger person and you hold that door open or you take accountability, how does that not add to the bottom line? How does that not fuel another person? How does that not engage another person? When you rally them and coach them and, big them up. What about when you share your deck with them and you share your project with them? Anything like that. Like, it all comes down to emotional intelligence for me. And yes, of course, IQ is important. Of course it is. We're taught that in school. But to actually be able to understand or try to understand what another person goes through, or how another person might see that problem, which is going to be different than the way you see it and how you need them. Like, these are all things that contribute to a bottom line and a healthy culture. And that culture, you want that culture to be rooted in psychological safety, which is that feeling then that I can speak up and no one's going to attack me.
Right.
That sense of belonging, which is I don't have to look like you to fit in. I can just be me and you will accept me. And then there's a heck of a lot of bravery there, which means, okay, I feel safe and I feel like I belong. There are people like me here. And so I can take a shot. And those things all add to the bottom line. They really, really do. When you have low performers, that's a different story because not everyone's going to understand what I'm talking about and how important the culture is to our bottom line, right? So, and that's okay. Everyone's got their own vibration and their own frequency and whatnot. But I would say, for example, if you've been at a company 30 years, I mean, I've been there 11 years, like something's working.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of longevity at the company I'm at. People have started their careers and are now on their 13th year. And okay, well, something's working here.
Yeah. When I think about the bottom line, the things that you were just mentioning come to pop into dollars and, dollars figures for me is one is, what if there's a great idea that I have, but I don't feel like, I'm afraid if I say it and it's stupid, I'll be attacked. But if I can say it in an open, like you said, a trusting environment where maybe it's a huge hit, maybe it's not, but at least I don't get attacked by saying it. Then, because if you set that kind of a culture, then people are not going to be open and honest, and you won't get that new super idea. Yeah. Yeah. And then even the other thing you mentioned was people in their 11, 13 years. Think about the cost of having to go rehire this person to fill this. You got to hire them. That takes time. It takes money. You got to educate them and train them. And it's huge cost.
Oh, yeah. All the IP that they leave with.
Yeah. That's
a lot. I know it used to cost almost 30% to rehire someone. I would imagine it's more than now. I really would. I would imagine it's a lot more, just because of the economy and skills are commoditized, but you still want someone that's got those great skills.
Yeah. And sometimes it's hard to find. You have to hire the headhunter, which is even more expensive. I mean, so definitely.
Yeah. Yep. And then you have to have those people show up to interview the person, which is hard.
Yeah. And then people blow off interviews. It's a process.
Yeah. You're like, oh man, no.
So we would talk a little bit about communication, and obviously I'm on a podcast called The Conversation. So that's important to me. How do you encourage when your organization have open and honest communication, especially if I can see if it's peer to peer, it's easy, right? But if it's not, we all want to aspire to be flat organizations, but we can't all be. So if this person is three technical pay grades above me, how do you inspire that open and honest communication?
Yep. So the culture, and I say this on day one in orientation, the culture is one that is accessible to all. People are available. You could email Gary right this minute. You could email anyone and get time on their calendars. That's the thing. You can pass people in the hallway. You can go to town halls. You can go to all hands and be like, oh, I want to meet with that person. I want to meet with that person. So right before I got on this call, I was meeting with someone that's been here since February. And he said, I really want to know how to succeed here. And what I said to him is, actually, you're doing the right thing, which is meeting as many people as you possibly can. So we got talking and I was like, okay, I'm going to introduce you to this person, this person, this person, this person, because I think they're all going to add to your story here. I don't want you to just know people in your department or on that one project. I want you to know everyone because it's the connective tissue. That's the dealio here. So having a culture that is open, and sure, people could say, oh, open door culture, whatever you want to say, but you got to really mean it.
Right.
If we say that you can email Gary right now, you can email Gary right now. And there are many times, and this is one of the things I love about my job, is when I hear, someone is crushing it over there, or this person's doing great, or I'm in a room and we're going through talent planning and oh my God, this person's great. We're going to do a double promotion. I just find their number and I put Gary on that text and I go, oh my gosh, we are hearing that you are doing such great things on JCPenney. Like, way to go. Love that you're here. So now they're in conversation with Gary where they've never met this guy. Or they're like, oh, Gary Vaynerchuk. So it's this way it's just a wonderful way to, I think, embrace people and get people chatting. Now, that's one of the ways. Of course, feedback. Feedback is such a big thing here, or conversations. We all think feedback is about criticism. Every single one of us looks at it. It's just like failure. It's criticism. And so what happens when you say to me, hey, Claude, I got some feedback for you? Oh, no.
Not a positive.
No.
Exactly.
No. Yeah. No, get away. You don't know me. You know nothing about me. And like, boom, because I go into fight, flight, freeze. And it's like, do not come near me. And what we say, and this isn't every day, we got to turn this wheel every single day. Feedback is about connection, not correction. Because feedback ultimately is subjective. I like black shirts. You like plaid shirts. I'm more senior to you. I win.
Right.
Right? It's about spending enough time with people to connect and understand, like, oh, they do this and they were on this account and they came from wherever and they're a drummer or whatever you need to find out so that you can connect. Or going back to being dyslexic, right? Like when I find out that someone's dyslexic, it's a huge way for me to embrace them. Like, hey, I get it. These are the tools I use. And by the way, like, tell me about it. Is it a superpower for you? Bringing someone in, making them feel like they're not like all, not well. So feedback is a big, big deal. And I also think conversation is a big, big deal when you're in conversation with someone that might be 3 titles higher. And so you want to rehearse sometimes. You want to be clear and know what you're talking about, have specifics, and really have an action. You want an answer on an action,
right?
Or on a thought. Oh, I'm thinking I'm going to do this on that next project. What do you think, boss? Oh yeah, I think that's a great idea. Oh, you might want to go talk to so-and-so because they can add a little magic about the algorithm on LinkedIn for you.
Right.
So it's not easy. And it isn't a science. It's, again, listen, what happens if you're introverted? And there are a lot of people that are introverted. And it's really tough to get yourself out of that place to have conversations. And that's where you need support. And that's where you need other people that are here to be like, you know what, let me connect you to that person. And I'm going to write that email for you. And I'm going to say, hey, I'd like you to go take this person out for a coffee in the next month, 6 weeks. Thank you so much. So you need people who care to help people navigate those conversations. And when I started this role, I was never in HR. I never wanted to be in HR. I was a strategist and just, really like human beings, like I had said. But the first thing I did was I said, oh gosh, HR has a terrible reputation. I'm going to rename the department People and Experience, because that's what we're doing. We're taking care of the person and your experience here, from the moment you apply to your last breath and maybe onward.
Yeah, HR wants to talk to you is never something you like to hear on the phone.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So we're People and Experience, and our whole reason for being is to make sure that this is the greatest experience you've had thus far in your career. And so we're going to do career mapping with you. We're going to talk you through hard conversations. We're going to be there to guide you. We're going to be there to connect you, all that stuff. So you just need people that you can swim to if in that moment, in those moments.
So how do you identify and nurture the emerging leaders within VaynerX? How do you do that?
So first and foremost, we have a pretty rigorous talent planning season that we go through where everyone that works with said team or in that department, department heads and then the other leaders in that department, and then cross-functionally, all get into a room and we talk about the skills and the core competencies of that person. So, for example, we have core competencies, foundational or behaviors, and that's like what we expect at, each and every role and every department has core competency. So if you are a junior copywriter, here are your core competencies. And by the time you are a creative director, they have really grown. So what we expect of you behavior-wise is a lot different. And then you have your functional, which are the skills, the technical skills to do your job. And so whether or not that's, you're very good at concepting, you're very good at understanding algorithms for social media, whatever it is, we have those technical skills and we have to marry both of those things together because our culture is called the honey empire. Honey. I
was going to ask about that. Great. Yeah.
Yeah. Honey is how we are. It's how we behave. It's who we are. And it's everything that you and I have talked about. And the empire is then how you show up with that. The empire is the business. So, is that person accountable? Are they a great communicator? Do they know how to lead a team? Do they come from a we, not I type of place? Do they have a growth mindset, a yes and, or are they coming from a no, that idea's a terrible idea, That's part of it. And so that's a big, big, big way of how we identify where people fall in our talent mapping process. And then, I have tons of conversations all day, and I might have one that just really strikes me as, wow, this person is really unique. And I might write their boss and say, oh, I just had a great conversation with Ted. Like, wow, Ted seems like a great, great human and employee. And they might say, Ted's amazing. We can't wait to promote him next time. Or actually, Ted's really good like that when he talks to leadership. What Ted really struggles is with blank. Oh, okay. I was duped. All right. I'm going to have another conversation with Ted and figure out how to get into that part. So, but you don't get anywhere without communicating, right? I can't figure anything out unless I spend time with a person and I get a lot of input and data from other people so that I can recognize patterns and I can also recognize, what it is. These are the things we care the most about. Does that person embody them and do they share them?
Right. How do you envision the Chief Heart Officer role evolving over the next 5-10 years or next 11 years at VaynerX?
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be a wild ride because of AI. And, AI is never going to take away, I don't believe AI is going to take away this level of conversation. I think that in terms of the intimacy of a conversation with another person, I think AI is fantastic and wonderful when it comes to advancing creativity and efficient and finding efficiencies and whatnot. But I do think this role in particular is going to need to learn how to scale much faster globally and figure out how to create other Chief Heart Officers in other regions that I can't replicate me. I got very lucky. I was hired by Gary. I worked very closely with Gary, been here 11 years. We created this role together. So the next incarnation can't be me.
Right.
It has to be someone who is far excellent than I am at, I would say, certainly at understanding behavior and motivating people. And it's going to be much more high performance coaching, I think, which is something I do all day, but we're probably going to, I would think, move more into that arena, and also, really, really fleshing out what culture champions do in all of these other regions. So, for example, I go to bed thinking about Thailand and our office there in Bangkok. I don't speak Thai. I've never been there. I have no idea about the culture. How do I know if they know what VaynerMedia really feels like? Right? I want them to know what we feel like, what it feels like. And I'm, again, very blessed that I've been here 11 years and I get that. So how can we make sure that enough people that understand the gifts are infiltrating these other cultures so that they understand? Because at the end of the day, it will create more speed, less drama, more speed. So there's that. But I do think the chief heart officer role will always be one of heart. I mean, I just think that we're always going to want that person that can talk to anyone without judgment and help them remove their roadblocks. So hopefully it's me for the next 11 years, and we'll see what happens.
We need more people who can talk without judgment, just in general, not just in your company.
Yeah, everyone's got an opinion, and that's cool. And again, what mountains do you want to climb?
Yeah.
Does it really matter to me? Some things do and some things really don't.
So if I'm over here at Acme Corporation, I like to use Acme because that's where Wile E. Coyote buys all the stuff to try to get the Roadrunner. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's okay. It's not germane to the story. But if I'm over here at Acme Corporation and I don't think we have the bandwidth, or I can't really sell the chief heart officer, what maybe are some steps that we can look to adopt to be a more empathetic leadership company?
Yeah. Remember, I wasn't at Vayner all those other years. So I was still me. And there are plenty of people with a heart to help at all those other companies. So how are you mentoring people unofficially or officially? Are you creating a mentorship program? Are you making sure that people have people to talk to when they're having a hard time with XYZ? Can you connect people to these culture champions or to people that are just, like I say, that have a heart to help? That's not difficult. One of the things that I'll tell you, which I think is really important, because if you have to go to your CFO to prove something out, then you need to be able to say, listen, I'm going to start a book club, or I'm going to start a volunteer mission, or I'm going to do something with these 20 people. And in 9 months, if you give me this money, in 9 months, I'm going to prove to you that the ROI is off the roof. Not only have we retained them and they're excelling, but they have brought in their friends, right? They have created other programs. They have created some learning and development, something organic, right? That maybe the company Acme doesn't have. So if you give me just a small amount of money so I could buy some cupcakes, once a month or whatever, I'm going to show you that by leaning in and offering what I have, and offering training and development and EQ, and offering, how to have healthy conflict conversations, and how to hold space, and how to create psychological safety in your team. I'm going to show you the ROI. I'm going to prove that to you in a both quant and qual way. That's what I always say to people that don't have a Gary, and that they have to go to the board or they have to go to their CFO. So there's tons of there are tons of ways to show your humanity in the workplace. One thing I always say is, just take out your phone and go through that phone book and go text 3 to 5 people right now. I'm thinking of you. Well, that takes 30 seconds.
Right.
And be real about it. I'm thinking about you. Let's get together. I'm thinking about you. How's your kid? I'm thinking about you. Where do you live now?
So it doesn't have to be huge efforts. It can be small steps.
Small steps are the better ones.
Yeah.
Small steps build. I mean, what do you want? We can't just take everyone to summer camp and things are going to be great, right? That might cost a lot of money. So these small movements, these small opportunities create big big groundswell movements.
If listeners just take one thing away from our conversation today, what would you like it to be?
Yeah, go pick up your phone and go text 3 to 5 people that you haven't heard from in a while and let them know that you're thinking about them. That's what I want you to do.
I will take that homework and do it. As we wrap up, I'm going to ask you 3 questions I ask everybody. They're simple. First one is, are there any leadership principles that speak to you personally and guide your day-to-day behaviors?
Yes. Take up space. Remember that the smartest person in the room is the room, and be the bigger person in every situation. Every situation. And that means humility.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
99% of things don't matter. And there's one other piece of advice I was given years and years ago by our COO at the time. And she said, every time you feel like you're going to shoot off a real nasty email, write it, don't send it. Yeah. Get up, walk away for 3 minutes and come back, and then dispose of it.
Hopefully dispose of it, yes.
Yeah.
What's the best book or article you've read recently, and what was the key takeaway?
I just read a great book on Richard Branson and on his entire journey. And the key takeaway is he never said no. He kept on taking risks when he had no money, when people didn't believe in him, when people said, no way, you're going to start an airline? No way. And he started an airline. And not only did he start an airline, he charged like $30 for a one-way flight. So take risks, go for it. Shoot your shot. Because if you don't shoot your shot and you're 99 years old and you're laying on your bed, what are you going to say? I didn't shoot my shot. I didn't try.
Right. I took the safe way.
Yeah. And I just wrote a book. And I hope people find a lot of value in it. It comes out on October 28th. It's called Be Yourself at Work.
Awesome.
You can see it. Gary Vaynerchuk wrote the foreword, which is wonderful. And so it comes out October 28th, and it's really filled with easy tips and tricks to build self-awareness in yourself, bring that into a team, and then really bring that into a culture and lead by showing up as yourself.
Claude, I can't wait to read that book. That's going to be good. I'll mark it on the calendar, October 28th.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
No, this has been really great. If people want to learn more about you, engage with you, connect with you, how can they do that?
Yeah, go to my website, claudesilver.com, or I'm on LinkedIn. That's pretty much where you find me. And shoot me something. And I respond to everyone that writes me.
That's awesome. I expected nothing less of you. So
thank you.
I really appreciate your time today, Claude. Thanks for the conversation.
Yours too. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to The Conversation. To find out more about Clint, go to clintonmpaget.com and pick up Clint's book, How Teams Triumph, Managing by Commitment, at Amazon. The Conversation with Clinton M. Paget is a production of Forbes Books.